Hello, Studio D. This is Amanda Triplett here with our first video in a series about making a short documentary film. Today we're going to talk about a free program through Windows called Movie Maker, and we're going to practice using very short clips of interviews, clips of footage from maybe a game or a club meeting at school or some other activity, and we're going to put those together to make a short documentary film, which is really the foundation of journalism in general. So let's start off talking a little bit about the program in general. Movie Maker has a number of special effects to it. You can look over at the quick tools menu over here. Let's go through them. First of all, you can convert your movie to an MP4 file where you can play it in lots of different places. You can look at all of the other ones, such as rotating the video to horizontal or vertical, depending on if you're going to play it for a cell phone or if you want to use online. You can create a DVD from your short film. You can use time lapse, which I know most of you know what that is. You can crop your video, trim it. We'll talk about the differences in those two in a future video. And you can also extract audio, meaning you can pull the audio out. If you record an interview, you can take that audio and separate it from the picture so that you can move the audio to another picture or another video footage. You can stabilize your video if you're having some movement issues. You can overlay things onto your video, enhance it with some magical items, maybe like snow falling, and you can record your entire screen. So let's start with a new project. When we first go out and we interview somebody, say at the football game, and we're talking to the coach for 45 seconds, and then maybe the linebacker, and then maybe a couple of the cheerleaders, and then maybe we get some footage from a field goal or a score, then we're going to put all of that together. We want to start with a new project. Today, we're just mainly going to talk about looking at short clips and importing them. Okay, because that's really important, is that you go through your clips, you decide what order you want them to be in so that they tell their correct story. So let's just start off with add a clip. Okay, and we want to go up to photo or video, because you can add still photos into your movie, or you can just have video footage. We're going to use an example of a film that I'm working on right now. I took some footage from our local ACT Theater Kids Camp. And if you look up here, you're going to see a number of video clips. I've put most of them by date so I would know in what order I took them in. I also put them by the person's name. Like if you look right here, it says Kate Interview 1. Kate is the director of the program, so I wanted to remember that clip is just of her. Whereas beside, I did a parent interview with one of the moms from the students in the camp. Down here, I did a camp counselor named Keenan, and I put on there Keenan intro because that was near the beginning. And then if you look through, you'll see like middle kids interview, middle kids singing. I titled my clips so that when I go back, I know kind of what order where I want them to come in the film. If I want to look at something to cut it in half or, cut it down, I would know exactly what I'm looking at. So if you go through here, that's the most important part probably in getting your clips into Movie Maker, is being able to tell what they are and figuring out the order. So if you look down here, here's a cast photo. This is everybody in the cast. I did a cast photo and then the end of the day. And you can tell by looking at them versus the one next to it that it's a still photo and not a video. So all of this is important for you to just, even if you're using a cell phone or a DSLR, that you plan out your clips. You don't take too long of clips. I mean, I would say the longest you should have are about a minute, unless you have an interview that you don't want to cut in the middle of a question, because it's a lot easier to splice together those short pieces than it is if you have something that's really long. So if you look down through here, you can see some of the dancing and the singing, and here was a scene from Seuss, one of the songs, and here's a longer version of it so that I can tell if I want to splice some of it together. But let's just pull a couple of clips. So let's say that I want to start off with the first day and then the intro, and then let's say I want to do the parent interview. So let's see, make sure all three of those are highlighted. So then I want to open those, and they will import into Movie Maker. And you'll see as they start to come up that it will give you the length of each clip, and then it will tell you exactly how much the entire movie is so far. So right now, as they're importing, I see that they are together 1 minute and 46 seconds. So after the first video, we'll go back and we'll talk about each one and how to only take the part of the clip that is important. For the first one, here it is 25 seconds. Well, we only may need 10 or 11 seconds of that just to show the introduction of the kids coming into camp. Whereas in the second one, it is almost 1 minute for that clip. So we might want to pare that down to about 20 seconds. Okay, and then the last parent interview, we might again want to cut down to 20 or 30 seconds, making the whole film, instead of 1 minute and 46, it might be like 40 seconds or 30 seconds for all three of those. So anyway, if you look at the bottom, you'll see that you can keep adding clips from your imported box right here. And then you're going to change the arrangement of them if you want, say this parent clip to go first. If you want to work with the soundtrack, and we'll talk about that more later, where we, can put in music or background reading, all types of sound after we figure out how to go and get, music that's not copyrighted that we can use. Then we'll talk about the soundtrack. And then when you're finished, you can either save the project to your computer, or you can save it to YouTube or to another outlet so that it can be played for public. So let's just talk a little bit about how to play the clips here so we can see. So here, this is the area that you're going to be working with. This is the bottom area will be your clips where you can kind of play around. It'll be your film strip where you can edit them and move them and such, and then you can see your movie up top. So up here, it gives you the option to change the volume. This scene right here where the kids are coming in and signing up for camp may be a very quiet scene, because there's not a lot of people in it, and you may want to raise that volume. Whereas the next scene, they're all in the stage area and they're going to be singing. That scene may be a little too loud, so you might want to pull that down. So here gives you right here the clip volume. That gives you a chance to really evaluate the audio of the clip. And then we'll skip rotate, we'll come back to that. But transition, be thinking about how you want them to transition. Do you want each of the clips to fade into the other? Do you want it to wipe across the screen? If you click here, you can see that you can fade, wave, wind, smooth blur, or cross zoom. Now for this first video, I just want you to be able to take short clips from interviews, either on your cell phone or on a DSLR camera. And I want you to be able to import a few of them and then just play around with Movie Maker. We can do all kinds of fancy things. We can add text to the slides. We can change the transition. We can work with the audio. We can do all kinds of things. But I want you to start just by pulling in those short clips. See, I'll go back and pick out maybe a few more. And then I want you to start thinking about, what needs to be written on there every time that someone speaks. So here are two other interviews, one of the children in the camp and one of the counselors, and we'll import those. But every time somebody speaks by themselves, you want to make sure you put their name up on the screen somewhere so that anyone watching the film will know who it is that's speaking. And there's all kinds of things that you can do like that. But for the first step, it's just about getting the footage, keeping it short, importing it, and just playing around. So this is step 1 of Movie Maker. Check back soon. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the Canvas response, and we will talk about them in class. Thank you.